Are you looking to achieve financial freedom and build passive income? Are you tired of trading your time for money? Imagine working for over 20 years as an independent consultant, only to realize that every hour you worked was directly tied to your income. Taking a day off meant losing money, which meant that vacations were stressful because you were not making any money, only spending it. But as one of the top consultants in your industry, you knew you had to find a way to make money that wasn't tied to the hours you worked, because contracts do come and go, and they end eventually. One day, you're making more money per hour than you could ever imagine, and the next, you're looking for your next contract, and none of them are paying as well as the last one. You knew you had to do something to secure your future and the future of the next generation. You need to disconnect your income from your time, and that's where passive income come in. Hey guys, Eric Martel here, and I'm all about early retirement, financial freedom, and passive income so that you can stop trading your time for money. I believe that financial freedom should be everyone's number one goal because it is inevitable, and the only way you can get there is to build a portfolio of assets that generate passive income. The story I talked about at the beginning is real. And I know many of you can relate because you are in the same situation I was in 10 years ago. But why financial freedom? The thing is, I owned a home in San Francisco Bay Area, and due to the appreciation, there was a lot of equity in my house. But I felt like my equity was not working for me. In fact, I would often come home after a long day at work and would see my equity sitting on the couch and watching TV. And I was like, what have you done all day? And I knew the answer, nothing. I knew I had to get that equity off the couch and out to work for me. The other thing that was scaring me was that all our savings were in that house. If anything happened to us, like not being able to work because of sickness or a real estate market crash, or not being able to pay the mortgage and having the bank foreclose on the house, then our entire life savings would be gone. The house was a tremendous burden on my mind. There was no end in sight. I would have to work until the day I die. I actually convinced myself at one point that it was actually what I wanted, but deep down I knew it wasn't true. I knew that the only way out and free ourselves from the vicious circle was to invest our money in assets that would generate passive income. Since I was an avid stock market investor, I considered various stock market investment strategies such as dividend investing and covered calls, but these strategies are not active and their return was just not enough to make financial freedom possible. I then went back to real estate investing, which was something I had done in early 2000s in the San Francisco Bay Area, but the numbers didn't make sense. Apartment buildings didn't cash flow. So I went back to the drawing board and figured out the best passive income investment that didn't require too much time because I was working full time and that I could invest on a regular basis as I was saving more money every month or every other month. Single family rentals was the strategy I focused on, BRRRR strategy more specifically. You may have heard of the BRRRR strategy before, which is an acronym where B stands for buying distressed property, R is renovate, then rent it out, refinance it, and repeat. And that BRRRR strategy is ideal to get started because it required less time than all the other strategies and it didn't require too much money. I would buy distressed properties, renovate them, rent them out, and refinance them, get most of my initial investment back, and repeat the process, buy the next house. I needed two things to make this strategy a success. First, a market where I could find these single-family rentals, and secondly, the team on the ground, which included property manager, contractor, and realtors. The markets we found were Memphis, Cleveland, and St. Louis. So I bought my first house in Memphis for $25,000, renovated it for $10,000, rented it out for $775 a month, and then I was able to refinance it at $60,000 appraisal value. So I got $48,000 back in the bank from the mortgage. Wait, I put $35,000 in and I get $48,000 back. I end up with more money than I started, and I had a rental property that would cash flow from $400 a month. Well, that's infinite returns. Obviously, that was a little bit of a unicorn. I was not always so lucky, and in reality, returns after refi could reach more than 20% if things go well. Houses with cash flow about $300 a month. So in order to generate my passive income target, I needed about 30 houses. I knew that if I wanted to take my passive income investments to the next level, I would need more money. I had already pulled everything from savings, 401k, and HELOC, home equity line of credit, but even those resources were not enough. Financial freedom is a long-term game, and it takes continuous investment in order to grow your portfolio. But without access to more capital, my strategy would take a lot more time because it would rely on me saving more money. So I started raising money from private money lenders and did some joint ventures with friends. But the biggest store of equity was my house. So I started looking into refinancing. I had already maxed out my HELOC, but there was still a lot more equity available in my house. I looked at refinancing, but even though I was making good income, I was an independent consultant, and the banks they don't like that. That's so I couldn't get as much as I wanted. I had to find another way to get that huge amount of equity working for me and off the couch. Again, for me, financial freedom was my top priority, and everything else was fair game. That's when the light went on. What would happen if I sold my house, rented a house instead, and invested all the equity in single-family rentals? The only way I would convince my wife to sell the house was if I could find a bigger house, fully renovated in a better location. Could I find a bigger, better, fully renovated house for rent for less than the cost of ownership of my current house? It didn't take long to find multiple houses that met our criteria. We ended up falling in love with a house up in the hills overlooking the San Francisco Bay, fully renovated kitchen, larger than our current house, a massive master bedroom. I turned to my wife and asked, "How would you like to live here?" The thought of selling our house was quite emotional at first, but soon we realized that being financially free was more important than owning the house we lived in. It is tough to go against what is often considered common sense and sell your house, but in the end, we know we made the right decision, and we wish we would have done it a lot earlier. So here are the 4 lessons that I learned during this process. First, make financial freedom your number 1 goal and make all your financial decisions towards that goal. Number 2, if the value of the house you live in is more than $400K, you should seriously consider renting instead of owning your house. Number 3, invest the proceeds from the sale of your house or the down payment you would have put towards the purchase of a house and invest it in a cash-flowing rental property. And finally, cash-flowing single-family rentals is the best way to build a passive income portfolio, and the fastest way to build it is with a turnkey rental providers like Martel Turnkey. Well, thank you for watching. If you're looking to make your own financial freedom a reality, then it's time to take action. Follow these steps that I've outlined here. You have to put your lazy equity to work. And make sure you check these 2 amazing videos, and see you next week.